Martyn Element, welcome.
Thank you.
What's the name of your company? What's its symbol? Where would we find you on which market?
We're on the TSXV. Been around since 1968. Never been consolidated, never been rolled back. The company is an investment issuer.
Called?
AIS Resources.
And your symbol?
AIS, yeah.
Yeah.
That was good, yeah.
That works out well.
It works out very well, yes.
And you've been around for a little while.
I've personally been around for a little while. I was a broker in the early 80s. Corporate finance. I finished up at a local firm here, director of corporate finance for Pacific International. And then I had a client that was beginning to take a lot of my time, so I went full time with the client, and that was called Clearly Canadian. I found them their first money, and I found all the money for Clearly Canadian, which of course went from 50 cents to $31 a share. So I left PI, I went on my own corporate advisory and corporate finance.
Right, and right now you're raising money for a couple of very interesting projects, and a couple of them are, of course, attached to what we would now consider to be the green economy. The first is manganese.
Manganese.
Yes.
Well,
for those who don't know what manganese is, why is this an important element as we move into the green sector?
Well, because it's not a well-followed metal. It's beginning to be now. It's starting to come into vogue. There's a fellow, quite an accomplished, I think he's a director of Canaccord over at Canaccord. He has a deal called Euro Manganese, which he's going to be producing. It's from a tailing situation in Prague, just outside Prague. He's going to be producing manganese in 2024. Mm-hmm. He's capped at about $30 million, I think. Significant money he's kept up. So he's, single-handedly putting manganese a little bit more on the map. And manganese is used as a strengthener in steel traditionally. Traditionally. Yeah. It's now beginning to be used more in the more futuristic car batteries. Manganese and cobalt are two of the metals that are coming into these longer extended batteries.
Yes.
So just as copper is becoming more and more popular, as Peter Brown mentioned yesterday, and of course, he's not on his own on that. A lot of that's integrated with car and batteries again.
Yeah.
Manganese is starting to get spotlight, and cobalt is beginning spotlight.
Yeah.
So we looked at the marketplace. We were in the lithium market, and of course, lithium had quite a significant correction. And with all these new cars coming out, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of lithium in the future.
Absolutely.
However, we looked at manganese, and we decided that we didn't want to mine it, we didn't want to get involved in that, but we saw an opportunity to start getting involved in the trading of manganese. So we shipped our first manganese as a company about 3 months ago now, and we are expecting to have news of that shipment. It went through China. It was the first one we did.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve. It was for a small amount, relatively speaking. It was 400 tons of product, and which still is 22 containers. It was, it was a lot of work, but we got it done, and we hope to be in a position to announce that shortly. But from that, we've now gone on. That was from Peru. We've now discovered that the marketplace really, to be a meaningful player, it's got to be a minimum of 5,000 tons.
Okay.
So in the last 3 weeks, we've written up 2 contracts for 5,000 tons. And we've also, with a very large company, which we announced, it's a $9 billion corporation, A.I.S out of China, and another company, which we haven't announced the company, we just said the amount, and we're awaiting clarification on that to be forwarded. And then just in the last 3 or 4 days, we've written a contract up for, I hesitate to say it because it's such a large amount, 50,000 tons. Now, Peru is not the country for that sort of quantity. We found that, of course. So we've now gone further afield, and we're now sourcing in Zambia and indirectly into Tanzania with a lot larger amounts, and Brazil, because for those sorts of quantities, you've got to be able to have the supply. So my CEO is a very accomplished fellow. He's He's a mineral advisor in Australia. He's one of 12 men in Australia, considered in very high esteem. So he's very qualified in all metals. So he's doing a lot of the sourcing. And we are going to be the agent on these trades. And to give you an idea of money, and this is where it gets with reporting and finance, I can go very, very broad terms. On a 5,000 ton order, our revenue at the end of the day, revenue, not net revenue, but our revenue would be in the 300,000 US range of earnings. So there's a lot of money at stake here, and we're all very excited about what we're doing. We're getting a reputation. We're new guys. We found that out too, but we're not without resource, and we're not without players in the world. And they are looking, and the price of manganese went off about, it's one of the reasons there's been a delay with our shipment. The price of manganese went down, and now it's coming right back to where it was 6 months, 9 months ago, which is, it's more than holding its price. So it's a nice place to be.
So it's the demand for more and more battery power to...
That's coming.
Yeah.
And people like Tesla and these big companies, which we've seen evidence of, are starting to get a little nervous. They're buying buying products like that, like manganese and lithium, of course, because they don't want to get caught because when the wave comes, it's going to be bigger than anybody would ever estimate, I think, for the batteries.
So you touched on lithium as one of the commodities that you're still in, even though there's been an adjustment in that market. Let's talk just a little bit about what your property is with regards to lithium.
Well, we were offered 3 or 4 properties yesterday in Argentina.
Yes.
We went into Argentina. We drilled 3 properties. And we hit lithium on all 3, but we didn't get the ppms, the parts per million.
Okay.
So we didn't get it. Millennium Lithium did.
Yeah.
They drilled less than 30 kilometers from one of our wells, and they hit, we didn't. It was a Mother Nature situation.
Yeah.
And now they've just recently changed the government again in Argentina, and things are getting out of control a little bit there with inflation and the new president and a lot of the business philosophy. So we've kept some key personnel in Argentina, and we watch and keeping a very good close monitoring on that situation. So we're not walking away, we're just keeping a close.
You're sitting on that for
We've
now.
got a lot of trouble with very, very good people there, and there's a lady there that's particularly good, and so we're keeping our hand in there, but we're not going after anything at the moment in the lithium field. We're focusing on manganese.
So manganese, lithium, and so on, they have markets in Asia. What's your connection? What are your connections like in Asia? Who do you have as a representative that's out helping to tell your story into those complex marketplaces?
Well, the people that we met in Montreal, actually, they are employed closely to the Chinese government.
Yes.
And they have been incredible. The 2 ladies, their English is, actually the one of them doesn't speak much English, but the other one is absolutely perfect English. Very good, very shrewd, very, very successfully sourcing supply for us. But I mentioned to Stuart earlier today, I was telling him that when we get some of these bigger contracts accomplished, I have a very close personal relationship with a very famous racing car driver, Emerson Fittipaldi from Brazil. I married a Brazilian lady, and he has told me that he's very keen, once we have a track record of success, which it looks like we're getting very close to have, he's been working in China with the 2 biggest car manufacturers in China, and the largest car manufacturer in Korea, which is KIA.
Kia, right?
Kia. We saw him on the television just a few months ago advertising one of their cars. And he said, Martyn, when the time comes, I will take you and we will go together to meet the guys that run these plants. But we've got to have the success of a few things. So I have have a whole situation there with options for him, and I'm going to put an advisory board together, not now, but I think in the coming month to 2 months, along with some fund manager friends of mine out of Australia. We'll have Emerson, of course, heading up the advisory board as well, and I think it's all going to come together really nice, really, really nice. But thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Well, that comes full circle around, of course, to manganese again,
Yes.
because it is an element that's going to be very, very important in
Yes.
the development of batteries and also the auto industry in China as it continues to grow.
Yeah.
Because they're going to need it for its steel strengthening qualities.
Well, there's Mercedes-Benz is forward buying, I think, lithium as we speak, and other metals. They have to, because although the world is still kind of waiting for the explosion of the cars, they're coming on now fast and furious.
Right.
Volkswagen Golf, Volvo's going 100% electric by 2025, I think, or earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've driven an electric car now for 3 or 4 years, and I absolutely love it. I had my last car was an exotic. I had an Aston Martin DB9 Volante, and it was a beautiful car.
Yeah.
But then it was just too fast, and I didn't really. So
Right.
not looking. So I've gone into electric vehicle, a Nissan Leaf, and I love that car. And I'm looking now probably at the Jag, the new SUV electric that they have, but it's going to be an explosion.
All those cars are also loaded with copper.
Yeah, of copper. Well, that's why I was watching Peter yesterday, and that was his favorite metal was copper.
Right, because as the demand for electricity and the need to be able to deliver it increases, copper becomes fundamentally important. And you're touching on that market as well, aren't
Yes,
you?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, all markets. We're covering a lot of different things with the gold, and through our endeavors in Peru, we deal with the people in a really good manner in Peru with the people we work with, and after 2 or 3 months, they brought us a group there brought us a really nice gold property, producing gold property.
Yeah.
They're producing, I think, from two veins, but Philip went out and had a close look at the property, and he thinks there's potential there for swarming of veins, what they call swarming, could be 12, could be 18. Needs a little bit of money spending on it, and we'll earn our way up to 50% on a cash flowing small gold mine. I'm also working on something else that even though my lawyers have advised me we didn't have to make a press release, there's a country in the world which has just changed all its mining laws, and we've been working closely with some representatives there on very, very big projects in the gold world. But I don't want to confuse the investors. We have geared towards manganese. If we do something in a big way in gold, we won't do it directly. Well, we'll do it perhaps in AIS, but because of the way AIS is structured, we can put an umbrella over a big deal coming in, and we can vend it out quite successfully. And you take the shareholders from AIS, and they get a piece of the action, and we give birth to another company. So don't worry, we're not gonna go off and start going in gold mining.
Okay, so right now somebody's watching saying, okay, Martyn, what's my investment opportunity with you at the moment?
Well, you've got a company that's capped at 3 million, 3.5 million, which of course is nothing these days. It's nothing. The major shareholders in AIS, there's a lot of very, very big players in there because of my reputation and where I've been. And they're all staying in there. They're all hanging in there at 5 cents, 4.5, 5 cents. So I think as we close on some of these bigger transactions on the manganese, the stock is just going to go up very, very substantially, very quickly. So I think it's an opportunity to put some investment onto the current situation and be ready for significant developments very, very shortly, which should start coming very shortly. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the players, we've got the pedigree with me, with my successors. So, I'm thinking it's a very good hedge bet for getting in now because of something that if it goes, it won't go to 10 cents. It'll go. If you start, if you start recording those 5,000 ton orders and you're making 300 US revenue, but for a little company it won't be, it'll probably, I don't like to put prices on it, and legally you don't want to put prices on it, but I think it's going to be substantially higher than 5 cents, and I'm watching the market. and I'm thinking, you can't ignore gold right now. And I've got a lot of people who have said to me, look, if you do something, we'll do something significant with you as well. So I'm very confident that we'll be possibly doing something in that. But as I've stressed, we won't be managing, we won't be mining, we'll be creating another company within AIS as an investment issuer.
But these are some pretty exciting times in markets that are emerging and are going to be here for a long time.
Yes, I agree. And I just want to say that, my CEO, is a very, very accomplished man, Philip Thomas. If you check him on the website, you'll see his credentials and his background. I remember when we were working on the lithium deals earlier on, we talked to one of the fellows at one of the biggest firms back in, I think it was 8 Capital in Toronto, and the head man talked to Philip for about an hour, and he phoned up and said, I thought I knew lithium. He said, but that's the most intelligent man I've ever spoke to in lithium. And, a week's time we had $1 million, and in 2 or 3 weeks we had $3 million. Not just from Capital 8, and the stock went from 20 cents to $1.50. Now it's back at 5 cents. But it's ready to go again, and I'm excited about it, and I'm great that I've got the opportunity. I love working with this company. They're a world-class organization, and the guy who owns it is going to lose a lot of investors by saying this. He's a Liverpool FC supporter, much as myself, but hopefully we don't lose a lot of people. We're going to cut that out. Anyway, so...
No, we won't cut it out. We'll leave it in there because it speaks to the enthusiasm that you have for the opportunity that's ahead of you, and I think that's, we invest in opportunities, but we also invest in people. And you bring track record and you bring enthusiasm for the future.
Well, I've raised $500 million. My sweet spot's been 500 to 5 million.
Which so I've done. Where you're at right now.
I've done a few dollars. I've done a few deals, should I say? So as they say, some of them I care to forget, but a lot of them I care to remember. I've had a lot of winners.
And you've got some news.
Yeah, we waited a long time for this. We exported manganese from Peru.
Yeah.
It was a labor of love. We did everything from bagging it to containers, and it went. And then the price took a dip, but it's gone right back up again now, as I was saying earlier. And we have successfully shipped and sold, and the money is now in our bank account, and that's it. It just announced yesterday, and it's not a lot of money, but it doesn't need to be. It was a completion of what we set out to do. So now we're working on the much bigger contracts, and I think it's off to the races
because you've proven that you can deliver
the concept of what we're doing.
Well, congratulations, and wish you continued success.
Thank you.